Good morning, wrestling fans. Welcome to PWR Today for Wednesday morning. It's February 24th, 2021. I'm the man they call Meathead, and Matthew Thomas joining us in the second. Matthew he's excited. He's got some news for us. If you haven't already heard the news, he's got news for us that Linda and I broke yesterday, but he's going to tell us about it in just a second. But let's talk sponsors. Our friends at manscaped.com are wanting to make sure you're silky smooth. Now, while I have told everyone I've grown this nice, luxurious, glorious mustache a la, Earl Hickey from My Name is Earl, that doesn't mean that I'm not manscaping. Get yourself over to manscaped.com. Save yourself 20% with the promo code PWR. And collarandelbowbrand.com are making sure that you got the latest in street fashion for the wrestling fan. 10% off with PWR 360. Matthew Thomas, come on in here. Good morning. How you doing?
I'm doing wonderful, Meathead. How are you this fine morning?
I think the end is in sight. While it's warmed up here in the greater Appleton area, the Fox Valley of Wisconsin here, that's also, it can be like a deke. It can be like just kind of a trick. That means that we're susceptible to getting 2 feet of snow. So it's finally warmed up, but I'm worried that the snow's coming.
Wonderful. Yeah, we in Denver here, we can get snow well into the month of May. So
and September.
Yeah. But the good thing is that the days are warming up and the days are getting longer too. I mean, we've still got some sunlight in the sky at 6 p.m., which Mountain Time, that is actually the time that a lot of wrestling starts. Raw and also AEW, NXT, Impact. So we've got some sunlight in the sky right as wrestling starting. So yeah, we are edging a little bit closer to the springtime months.
Yeah, and the daylight savings time is coming too. So we're getting there. Finally, it's starting to warm up. I'm ready for it to warm up. Okay, let's talk a little wrestling news first. We have gotten a list of talents that may be finally showing up to the WWE Performance Center. There's a couple names on there that we knew were going to eventually probably show up. One of them is Tyra Valkyrie, the wife of Johnny Drip Drip, John Morrison, former Impact Wrestling Women's Champion, longest reigning Women's Champion, Knockouts Champion in history, apparently has shown up to the WWE Performance Center. So there is a chance we may see her show up on NXT at some point. Your thoughts on Taya?
Yep. I think that's great news, great acquisition for the WWE. And now that you've got Rhea Ripley going up to the main roster, it moves some talent forward. And I think NXT is in a point where it can certainly use an additional influx of talent. We're in a bit of a strange spot there. In the last 3 or 4 years, it has really, you've had a lot of people that have stuck around. It has not necessarily been that transient, ebb and flow of people kind of moving through. And I'm speaking mainly to the, Adam Coles, to the Tommaso Ciampas. You've had a lot of people there that have really had this extended tenure in NXT as they've been kind of going back and forth between trying to seemingly transition out of being the developmental territory and that third brand. So you've had some mainstays at the top of the roster. And you've had talent
come down to NXT and kind of hang there.
Yes, so that influx of new talent into NXT, I think, is really, really welcome to, to further give the people that have been there for a while some people to work with, and to potentially have a little bit firmer base if some of that talent does, move to either the Raw or the SmackDown brands.
So there's a couple other names that are on this list that we need to talk about. One is a name that you might recognize, but you might not. First name Bronson, last name Reichsteiner. Wait, Reichsteiner. If we take the Reich out of there, Steiner. This is the son of the dog-faced gremlin Rick Steiner, 23-year-old former football player. Bronson Reichsteiner has apparently made it into the WWE in the developmental section, the class down at NXT. Another name that I want you to pay attention to, and this guy is 18-year-old college football star. He looks like a younger Brock Lesnar. His name is Parker Boudreaux. Google him. Parker Boudreaux. This is one big boy, and he looks devastating. I honestly think that this is what did they call Brock? The next big thing?
This is the next big thing. Or the next bigger thing. Or the next big thing.
Yeah. This is a kid that he's got the look. Holy smokes. You can teach this kid some wrestling. This guy will be a star for a long, long time. Have you seen pictures of Parker Boudreaux?
Yeah, I've seen pictures of him. I haven't read that extensively or necessarily known how close he was to getting ready, but the pictures definitely do look very impressive.
Yeah, big boy. And like I said, teach him a little wrestling. This dude's going to be a star. Absolutely. So, talent making their way up to NXT and the Performance Center, including, like I said, Taya Valkyrie. Boy, I cannot pronounce her name, and I've said it 7 different ways. Taya, former Impact Knockouts champion, now in WWE.
Maybe you just refer to her as TV.
We could, because I've seen her on TV a couple times. Mm-hmm. So let's talk about Impact last night. We got one bit of news from Impact, really, besides the AEW plug that's been there every week, and it's been honestly must-watch TV. Unlike the Frank Thomas Dick ads.
I think I counted 4 or 5.
Let's talk about our pal Cal. The Fanny Pack kid.
Let's do that.
Was on Impact last night. If you watch that pull him apart, beat him up, with Sami Callihan in the back, Cal Hero separated the two of them from fighting anymore. Now, Cal, I got to ask, and I know you're listening to the program, where's the Fanny Pack, kid?
Well, I would imagine, prior to a security gig, in a closed set like that, you've got certain security restrictions. And, I imagine he was adhering to, said restrictions. So that's my theory on the whole thing.
It's just me trying to play on the word Fanny Pack kid. Where's the Fanny Pack, kid? See what I did there?
I see, because it's a name and then you're posing as a question. So
I took his name and posed it as a question.
Same words, but different. You're stressing the different words, and I see like a question. Okay.
One other bit of news that came out of there from Impact was that Moose, while he's been carrying around the TNA championship, Scotty Damore has made it an officially recognized belt in Impact Wrestling, and he was made to defend it last night. He did. And what that got him was a shot at the #1 belt in Impact. He will take on Rich Swann for a chance to be the guy. Your thoughts?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's the direction that they were headed. I'm interested in this. I mean, to me, Moose is the star of Impact. And Rich Swann's had a nice run, but when, I've gotten back into the product after being away for a while, and you just got to think that I'm not the only one who feels this way. My eyes go to Moose. He is the person that jumps off that TV screen at me. And I'm glad they got the whole TNA championship thing resolved, because it's felt very strange. And in a lot of ways, it has seemingly felt demeaning to Moose's push. You've got this guy walking around with the title that is actually not recognized, very similar to, they did something similar with Eric Young some years back where he found a title in the trash or something, or am I just making that
Scott
up?
Hall, WCW, found a title in the trash. It was the team. No, I think he threw the Hardcore Championship in the trash.
Yeah. Okay, so I knew it was jogging some memory. That's what.
And then I think Norman Smiley picked it out of the trash.
Yeah, I mean, it just
Norman
and for somebody that is as big a star as Moose, for him to have this title that only he recognizes, it hasn't, to me, it hasn't served the purpose of making him a bigger star. So I think they made a wise move in recognizing the title, and you've got an actual title that can be defended and can be positioned as a mid-card title on Impact. I think it was a smart move.
Yeah, absolutely. Now let's talk about AEW. Nothing really big from the Tony Khan, the Tony show. Stuff on Broadway has been canceled, so here's the Tonys. He did it a little different this time. Had the talent on a green screen, but had it look like they were out in, the Jacksonville Jaguars football stadium, showing how things work. And I did like, this is kind of a trash talking thing, but Brian Cage came out and said, I was the former world champion in Impact Wrestling. Last time that belt's ever meant anything. I'm like, wow. I mean, just shooting them down. But hey, they ran down the card, and let's talk about the AEW card for Dynamite tonight. One of the matches is going to be former world champion Jon Moxley taking on the Hollywood Hunk, who is in this promo, Ryan Nemeth. We've also got other matches, like more matches, including Dr. Britt Baker taking on Nyla Rose in the Women's Eliminator match. So she's going to be a chance to move on in that tournament as well. We've also got, and this was what kind of caught me off guard, they called it the main event. It was going to be the Murder Hawk Monster Lance Archer against Rey Fenix for a chance to get in the the Face of the Revolution ladder match.
Yeah, it's the ladder match that was announced last week with Cody and company.
Okay, Jake Hager will take on Brandon Cutler. Jake Hager and Brandon Cutler. Hangman Page and Isaiah Cassidy one-on-one with Big Money Matt Hardy backing up Isaiah Cassidy. This one I'm kind of interested in. Singles match here for Isaiah Cassidy, plus a tag team match. Ricky Starks and Brian Cage from Team Taz taking on the Varsity Blondes. So AEW Dynamite looking pretty good for tonight. Your thoughts, Matthew, on what we're going to get from Dynamite? Are we going to get any 6 or 8 man tags?
They didn't announce any. Here's the thing. I'm seemingly less enthused with that card than it sounds like you are. I'm interested in the main event. I'm interested to see more of what they do for the Lance Archer push. But, there's a couple of ways of doing things in the pro wrestling industry. And you look at what WWE does with Raw and SmackDown. You get a few things announced, but generally you do not get the full card rundown. After seeing what was announced for tonight, I'm not so sure this is a card that you proactively announce ahead of time. It's really not a lot on there that's got me too excited. And hopefully I'm wrong, and hopefully they deliver a stellar show. But when you see this on paper, I'm not sure this is a card you put on paper and advertise.
So maybe a smart fan might say the opposite, going, boy, they didn't mention any of the real big names. I wonder what they're going to be involved in.
Yeah,
you're right.
It's possible.
Marketing-wise, they didn't mention the big names. Okay.
Yeah, and so we'll see, and maybe I'll be pleasantly surprised, but I'm curious as to what the show delivers.
Let's talk NXT for tonight as well. The big match that got pushed off from last week is supposed to happen tonight. Santos Escobar to face Karrion Kross in a no disqualification match. We've also got Adam Cole. I thought about it for a second. We were going to talk about it, but I'm going to run them down and then we'll come back to it.
Go for it.
Adam Cole vows to explain himself tonight. NXT Women's Champion Io Shirai takes on Zoe Stark in a non-title. Johnny Gargano to clash with Dexter Loomis, non-title. Casey Catanzaro squaring off against Zia Lee. And then the Grizzled Young Veterans going to go one-on-one in a tag match. Killian Dane and Drake Maverick. Matthew, thoughts on Escobar and Karrion Kross?
Yeah, I'm interested and invested. I have been for several weeks now. I'm really curious, more so than the outcome of the match. I'm invested in what they're doing with Kross. I mean, this is a spot where you had a guy who was being pushed hard, who was a champion, who got injured, but it wasn't an extended time away. I mean, he was gone, 2-3 months? It was not one of these extended injuries. So where does that push, where does that leave the push, and what is the way back? What's the bill back? And what's been interesting in this too is he is seemingly going, for people outside of his division. I mean, you look at this guy, he's a heavyweight going after the cruiserweight title, or going after the cruiserweight champion per se. It's an unusual story that they're telling, which has got me intrigued.
William Regal has said, and he even tweeted this out, says, in consideration of the difference in each competitor's interest in their match, I've decided to raise the stakes. Kross versus Escobar will now be a no DQ match, and if our cruiserweight champion does not participate, he will be stripped of his title and suspended.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, in at the very, another possibility is that this is just a way to have a cruiserweight tournament. We just got out of the Dusty tournament. There's no tournament on the horizon. Maybe we, because that's the cruiserweight division in WWE. It's been in a strange place the last couple of years. I mean, that was, that's really what.
Let's go back 5-6 years. It was purple ropes is what it was.
Oh, has it been 5 or 6 years already? My goodness.
Yeah, it was purple
My
ropes
goodness.
on Raw, and
Yeah,
it was
was
awkward breaks in the back to change the ring ropes.
Yeah. And and now it's the title lives on NXT, and it's just been this. And I think that is something that's untapped there. I mean, I think you could really rejuvenate interest in that title if done appropriately. Maybe that's the most likely thing to come out of this, because it's this weird stipulation. And let's look at it. If he runs away from Cross, he doesn't, have the match for 2 weeks in a row. Cross looks really good. I mean, it's a way of really building him without even doing a thing, just saying that people will not face him. And it potentially, reignites a little bit of spark in that division without the title holder necessarily even losing the title. So that very possibly could be the most logical thing in this juncture, because say Cross destroys Escobar, what's really gained out of that other than Cross looking like the monster that he was positioned at previously? I'm going with that being the most likely outcome. Is he steers clear of him for another week. He would rather lose his title than actually go against Cross. Cross looks strong. Escobar doesn't lose the title, and you get a shot in the arm for the cruiserweight division. Book it.
Escobar tweeted back after Regal said, he says, "Haha, fear? No way. Chess, not checkers." So that speaks to that. It speaks to it, playing that game.
Yeah.
Adam Cole actually attacked Kyle O'Reilly after last week's show, and to the point where Kyle O'Reilly was stretchered out of the Capitol Wrestling Center, and he is not medically cleared. So Cole says he'll explain himself. We'll see. Io Shirai is going to go non-title against Zoe Stark. Your thoughts on Zoe Stark?
It'll be fun to watch. I'm not a huge fan of Champions Wrestling non-title matches. I feel like you have got to. I feel like that the title needs to be, or the title holder needs to be protected to the point that they don't waste their time and they don't show up unless there's a viable contender. And I've never been a big fan of the Champions Wrestling non-title matches. I think this will be a good match, but I don't like the booking.
Okay. I do like the booking here of Johnny Gargano to clash with Dexter Loomis,
yes.
even though it's non-title.
Yeah. Okay. I don't mind that as much because he's got a reason to wrestle him, because he kidnapped his friend.
Who said he was in 3 Days in Paradise.
Yes.
Apparently.
Yes. And, I don't know that. I think that just aired separately on the website, but the 3-minute clip or whatever, when you saw Austin Theory being interviewed afterwards, was really, really good. It was definitely something that should have actually made the air. I don't believe it did. Maybe I missed it on NXT last week, but I don't.
It's on the website. I'm not quite sure if it's on the television.
Yeah,
but
I don't know that it made the air, but yeah, it was great. He seemed to have a great time, and it sounded like he ate a lot of Fruit Loops.
Grizzled Young Veteran's going to go head-to-head with Killian Dane and Drake Maverick. Now, this is one of those type of teams where Drake kept bugging Killian to be his friend, and he kept beating him up, and he earned his respect, and now they have to be a team against the Grizzled Young Veterans, the two-time losers. I don't want to call them losers because they made it to the finals twice, so they're definitely not losers, but two-time non-winners, I guess, of the Dusty Cup tournament.
But you know what? I mean, it's one of those matches where you're not 100% sure which way it's going to go. I mean, it would make sense for them to pick up this win here and, kind of get back on the radar. But, I mean, Drake Maverick and Killian Danes, they're fun to watch. And it's been a fun, chemistry between the two. So, this is one of those I like matches where people are seemingly evenly booked and can really gain something. That's why some of the matches on AEW for tonight, not too keen on, because I don't feel like there's necessarily any leverage that's gained over the outcome of it. This is something that's a little bit different. This is kind of appropriate booking on two teams that are in a similar position.
Matthew, let's talk PWR Draft. We announced it yesterday, and let's talk about it again today. Tell everybody what you've done with your draft team.
Well, let me give you a little thought, a little gauge into the inner workings of my mind, if you will, because I've been considering this for a while. I've had the option of dropping the Usos, and prior to the Rumble, when you weren't seeing Jay on TV, I said, do I make a move? Do I make a move? I had even floated the notion. Of prior to the Rumble dropping the Usos in favor of one William Goldberg. I'm glad I didn't do that. Because I wanted to ride that Uso train for just a little while longer. I knew I was going to exit the Uso train prior to it coming into the final.
You were going to pull the string and have the bell go off and get off the bus before the end.
Exactly, but I couldn't decide what exit I wanted to take on the train. Is that how trains work? No, they got different stations you can get off at, right?
I mean, I know that there's been times you said you've pulled trains, but I don't get on trains. That's just not me.
I've only ridden a train a couple of times, and I guess I don't think you can just get off at any station. But anyway, maybe bad metaphor. Maybe I need to do a highway metaphor. So I'm driving down the road, and I know I'm going to get off at an exit before the road ends, but I just don't know which exit I'm going to take. Well, I decided to take the exit to the Lashley lane, okay?
Oh, okay.
To the Lashley lane after I got my Uso points for the Elimination Chamber.
What you did right on that? Lashley lost the belt before you had him.
Exactly. And that's why the timing's impeccable. I don't think we're going to see Jay in a role in the build-up to Mania that's going to do much for Team Matt Damien. And I'd been eyeing Bobby Lashley for a little while because if you listen
He's your
back
friend,
to this,
right?
My personal pal, Bobby Lashley. And if you listen back to previous, episodes here, I'm talking about the booking of Lashley and how strong this guy's being booked, but he's the US champion, and it just, it's kind of under the radar, but not really. And after this past Sunday, after Bobby Lashley lost the title, but looked so strong doing it, dominated everybody in that match, was not involved in the match, not involved in the decision. I said, you know what? This is the perfect time, because the show ends quintessentially with The Miz and Bobby Lashley standing tall. And so I pulled that trigger on, I guess it was Monday morning. And when you know who just looked dominant on Raw on Monday night, who is probably the most dominant person in the professional wrestling industry right now, the strongest booked person in the professional wrestling industry right now, is a member of Team Matt Damien.
There you go. Well, we'll send that tweet out. We'll get that roster updated. You lose 25 points for doing an injury replacement, but you feel you're going to make that up with 2 more WWE pay-per-views left.
Absolutely. I think this is going to be, when all this is said and done, this is going to be one of the most historical moves in PWR Draft history.
It's absolutely not going to be. Matter of fact, you are battling Linda K for last place. You're holding the lead, and I will be completely upfront here. I'm hoping Linda takes you over and you end up in last.
So not only this, what this is going to do, it's going to put me further in front of Linda, and it's going to inch me closer and closer to David Hero, so that I finish the PWR Draft season 2020-2021 firmly atop of David Hero and smack dab in the middle of the pack. Number 3 out of 5, just smack dab in the middle, and just as average as you can be.
Fair enough. Here's the totals brought to you by the accounting firm of Dewey, Cheatham & Howe, with 3 pay-per-views left. Again, no announcement on an NXT pay-per-view for the WrestleMania weekend or calendar, but the season ends at WrestleMania on April 11th. We have AEW Revolution, WWE Fastlane, and WrestleMania on April 10th and 11th. Leading from pillar to post, from pole to pole, the man they call Meathead, currently at 2,920 points. In second place, 2,805 points, it's Drew Baydala. Third place at David Hero, 2,485. In fourth place, Team Matt Damien, 2,230. And in last place, absolutely dead last, as Linda likes to call it, 2,030 points. But Matthew, your points will be going down. You're currently at 2,230. You'll be at 2,205. 2,205. Now you are taking a injury replacement.
But guess who's got a couple people on the old AEW pay-per-view coming up?
Yes, and that's the strategy here as well. I've looked at the rosters. I'm trying to map this out and see where I'm at, right? Drew Baydala has 2 potential performers for AEW, and I have 2. I have I have the tag team with Kenny Omega and Hangman Adam Page, but I'm going to be taking a Kenny Omega in the main event as the AEW heavyweight champion in a specialty match. I also have in a specialty match, cue Tony Schiavone, Sting! In the tag team match with Darby Allin. Now, Drew Baydala has Chris Jericho, and he has the Young Bucks, all in one match. The Young Bucks defending their AEW Tag Team Championships against the team of Jericho and MJF. Matthew, how do you see that going? I know how I want it to go because the points favor me if the Young Bucks retain against Jericho and MJF.
Yeah, well, here's what I know is I know Team Matt Damien has Cody, and they've also got Darby in this pay-per-view. So Matt Damien looking to pick up some points. And I don't know, what about Hero? Does he have any AEW talent?
Oh, he's got the former AEW heavyweight champion, Jon Moxley.
So he's just got 1, and I've got 2 people, huh?
He's got MJF actually as well.
Oh, does he? Okay, never mind then.
So we all seem to have 2 each. So I still believe that the pickup of the year that saves my championship was dropping. Who did I end up dropping for Sting? But picking up Sting. I dropped the Street Profits for Sting.
Yeah. So that sounds like a worthwhile move there. I don't know though, but things are going to come down to the wire with you and Drew Baydala.
I think so. But again, pillar to post, pole to pole, you're champion. And I will get a parade, the man they call Meathead.
I think it's only fitting.
Matthew Thomas, that is it. You have a big title match coming up this Monday night on Raw with your boy Bobby Lashley, now a member of Team Matt Damien. Now, you do realize you don't get points if he wins it on Raw, right? It's only on pay-per-view.
Yeah, but he'll have a pay-per-view title defense or something at some point. So all right. I just wanted to, make sure you're. And here's the thing. He's not winning it on Monday anyway. That win's going to happen at Fastlane because McIntyre is going to get involved in the finish.
Gotcha. Don Henley likes life in the Fastlane as well. So, all right. So Matthew Thomas,
like Don Henley.
For Matthew Thomas on the man they call Meathead. Hey, thanks for stopping by. We'll talk to you guys again tomorrow morning. So long, everyone.